Hey, welcome back traders. Going to be continuing the 2024 backtesting series. We're in the month of September. Now, before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the spreadsheet with all the data here. And I've compiled the August data into its own tab here. And as you can see, August was a really good month. We have a winning percentage of 81%. We have average gains, average losses, total of 7.6% on the balance for the August P&L. Now, 1 month does not matter, right? Even though we had such a good month here, I'm going to go into the data tab, and this is the year to date so far. You can see the winning percentage is a little shy of 56%. So 56% winning, 44% losing. So still kind of, less than 60%. And but on the year, you can see the total P&L, we have grown this to about 34% year to date. So we're really good right now, but you can see the stat difference between the year to date and you can see August right here. Now, before we get started, I want to remind you to please like this video and subscribe if you haven't done so. Almost reaching 600 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for watching my videos and subscribing. It's a really big support for me, and I really feel good about what I am doing. Anyways, let's go ahead and jump right into the chart here on September. This is the daily chart. Now, we do have some sell side marked here, but I'm not paying attention to any of those, because if you look here, we're going away from the sell side. We're almost going to reach above the opening price of this down move here. We have a daily fair value gap that we closed above, so I'm only looking for upside. If on the lower time frame, you can see we have relative equal highs here. This is going to be a primary target. And I really want to look for the buy side above this high and this. Remember, this is a weekly SIBI. These are going to be the buy side targets I'm going to be looking for going into this week. We do have a fair value gap here. We could dip down to one of these fair value gaps going into next week. We'll go ahead and mark it out. But yeah. All right, so I went ahead and just marked out this one. This is the big daily fair value gap. I don't want to see price trading below here. This is pretty much my last line of defense for bullishness. We have this old daily SIBI here. I didn't really mark it out. I believe this is a 4-hour fair value gap, but if you extend it, it overlaps with this fair value gap on the daily as well. So I'm kind of using this as a balanced price range. Technically, I don't really want to see price go below here either. However, I realize that it can, and we can dip into this rather large daily fair value gap. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the back testing for this week. All right, here we have Monday, September 16th. Going to be back testing the 16th through the 20th. And as you can see, over the weekend, we really gapped up. We already gapped above the buy side on these relative equal highs. Remember, this was a quintuple top that I was looking at. Now that we've taken this out, not exactly sure what is going to happen. I think we could be due for a little bit of retracement, perhaps back down into this, I believe it was a 4-hour SIBI, or this daily fair value gap. But you can see we do have a pretty big gap here. I expect price to come and rebalance some of this. Doesn't have to rebalance everything. I guess it could come for the sell side below there. However, I kind of just want price to just rebalance this and then start heading up right away. Here's the short-term buy side, relative equal highs there. We have another one up here. Not going to mark it just yet. Pretty much just going to be looking for this. I think I want to remain bullish. I want to see price rebalance some of this fair value gap. Don't really want to see it go below here, although it could sweep it. Then I want to see a rejection right away. But anyways, looking for displacement to the upside. All right, and before I get started, this is a pretty big gap here. I'm just going to mark this low here just to remind myself that this is going to be the low of the gap here. So if we do cross this pink purple line, then I know that the entire gap has been filled over the weekend. And now let's go ahead and jump into today's lower time frame, and we'll be looking for price to go up above these relative equal highs. Just going to see what 8:30 and 9:30 does. Looking for a little bit more displacement to the downside, but then I want to see a reversal, and that's when I'll be looking to enter in some longs. All right, so here we are, 9:30. I didn't really do anything pre-market, but big displacement to the downside at 9:30. Remember, we're looking for this pink line. That's going to be the entire gap closure. Now, with this big move down, we could be having like a retracement on Monday, going down for like the manipulation, picking up sell side. So I'm not really going to be touching this unless we start going above this big down candle at the 9:30 open, right? This is going to be the change in the state of delivery. So let's go ahead and make this, I don't know, let's make it this color. So once we start going above there, then that will be the signal for me to start looking for some longs. All right, it didn't actually take very long. It's not even 10 o'clock and we've already reached above the mark that I was talking about. Okay, so now that we have basically, reversed this entire down move at 9:30, I'm looking for some longs. I do see a fair value gap here and potentially a fair value gap here. So let me go ahead and get rid of this. If we do take a long entry there, I'll be looking for, now, I think this is a pretty big move. So I'm just going to go with this down candle here as my risk. If that's the case, that'll be about 35 points of risk. So I think that's fine. We can go ahead and look for entry here. Now, if this candle does finish forming and creating our fair value gap there, I guess potentially could look for one there. I just don't really like the risk because my risk will still remain down here. And if I, let's say, put my entry here at 665, that's going to be about 65 points of risk. I don't really like that. So I'm just going to keep it down here. Hopefully we can get a quick move, just pick me up. And then I'm looking for the buy side targets up here. Okay, and like I said, if you do have a fair value gap here, you can potentially take a trade here. So this is going to be 660. I'll still have my stop loss down here. That's going to be about 60 points of risk if that's what you're willing to take. But I went ahead and just kept this right here. Now there's a chance that we could sweep this low and pick me up before we start running. Now, if we do start running and we create another fair value gap, I'll go ahead and try and take that one if the risk permits. But I don't really want to be taking this one because of the wide risk. So just going to wait a little bit longer, see if it can come and pick me up. All right, guys, I'm in it here. And let me just go to a spreadsheet to calculate the risk. All right, guys, so looking at the spreadsheet, you can see that it's been a while since we've taken our last trade, almost, well, 18 days. So that's going to be about like, what, 2.5 weeks or maybe 3 weeks of trading because no, it's going to be 2.5 weeks total. Anyway, it's been a while. I could take 2 contracts, so we're going to go ahead and shoot for that. And it's going to be a little bit above that 1% risk, but I think it's okay. We'll go ahead and try for this 1% risk. If we do get stopped out, I'll be looking for another try with only half my risk. Now, this risk may be a little tight, right? I mean, if you want to be more conservative, you can go at the bottom of this fair value gap, but like this would be the normal risk here. But because we've reversed, I'm kind of don't, and also there's a lot of up and down movement here. I'm kind of looking at this as a balanced price range. I don't really want to see price come down below here. If it does, we could be heading even lower. So, I mean, when you look at the movement here, it looks quite scary. But we'll see whether or not I get stopped out, or if it's going to start reversing after coming into this fair value gap. All right, so yeah, just start dropping down lower. Looks like we may want to fill the gap entirely. Maybe this is something I should have waited a little bit longer on, but I think it's okay. Maybe I could have tried just take 1 contract instead of 2, but whatever. Yeah, took 2 contracts, got stopped out, and it is what it is. So went ahead and took a 1% loss. So looking for the second trade here and going up to a 15-minute just to reevaluate. I think we could be coming down to fill the gap entirely, perhaps even going for the sell side below these lows, maybe even coming down for this low too. So just keeping that in mind. The other option is that we are sweeping below this low and we're going to go for these highs with a nice reversal. If that's going to happen, I'm not going to take the very first fair value gap, excuse me. I want to see a fair value gap, and then I want to see confirmation and create a secondary fair value gap, and I'll enter on the second one with half my risk, but not going to just go in on the very first one like I did here. And also one more thing to note, you see I am managing my risk. That's why I didn't take it up here. I only took it down here where it was closer to my stop loss. All right, so 12:15, my trading window is done. But you can see that we did rally, create this fair value gap, and I was waiting for price as it came into this fair value gap to see whether or not we're going to get confirmation and create a secondary fair value gap. But let's go ahead and take a look at the end of the action. If it did create a secondary fair value gap, I would like to enter onto that one. Unfortunately, it's probably a PM session move. So what I mean is, so it came back into this fair value gap and kind of rallied here, but here is that secondary confirmation fair value gap. I want to enter here with my risk down at the low, and then wait to see if we can go above this high or this high. Never really reached up that high. It pretty much just consolidated here, kind of close to where it opened at 930. So kind of a indecisive day. So let's go ahead and jump into the next day and we'll see if we can find something there. All right, so Tuesday morning, September 17th, and we've already taken out the buy side target here. So we did rebalance this big gap that happened over the weekend. And then you can see slowly grinding up above these relative equal highs. Now, because the buy side target has already been taken, I'm going to go ahead and go to a 4-hour here just to kind of see where the next target would be. So looking all the way to the left, I do see this high here, these bodies. Now, technically, you could have this one here with the wick, but I like looking at the bodies here. So this would be the next buy side target. And I guess I'll mark this out, secondary target, but ultimately I'm looking for this high going into this fair value gap. I think that was the 4-hour SIBI. And as price came back down to rebalance this, and now we're starting to get a 1-hour fair value gap, I don't think price should go down below here anymore. All right, so going down to the 5-minute, we've already taken out the buy side here. Sell side is going to be down here. We could have a sweep of this. Anything else to the left, I'm not really, interested in. I'm not interested in shorts, even though we do have relative equal lows here. If we start displacing lower, we could start heading for these relative equal lows, but hopefully we'll just get a sweep up here, maybe even over here, and then we'll start reversing, going up for the upside. We also have this fair value gap, so it may not take out this low. It may just go into this fair value gap, or the fair value gap is in right now. But let's go ahead and see what happens at 8:30 and 9:30. See if we get any reversal opportunities here. All right, so far during the pre-market session, very choppy. Here, this was what, 8:30, I believe. And on the 8:30 candle, we have a pretty big wick on the upside of the candle here. And ever since, we've pretty much been consolidating between this high and this low. So gonna wait for 9:30 to see what it does. I'm hoping that we'll get a sweep, at least of this low, right? Because then it'll go into this fair value gap. It could sweep this low, but I guess I would prefer it not. If it can just sweep this one, go into this fair value gap, and then we start heading up, that's gonna give me a strong conviction that we're not gonna take this low. It's telling me, hey, I'm not weak, I'm strong. I don't want to take out the lows. I want to head for the highs. And then we have partial targets, number 1, number 2, and of course, number 3 before we get into that 4-hour fair value gap. Or was that weekly? Let me just go up real quick. Yes, sorry, my mistake. I kept saying this was a 4-hour fair value gap. It was all the way down here. I got a little confused because they're both red. But no, this is that weekly fair value gap. Anyways, let's go ahead and see what happens at 9:30. So we got a big wick, took out the buy side one more time, and now it's taking out this low. You can see it took out, so it cleared out the buy stops. Now it cleared out the sell stops, accumulating sell stops, I should say, and it seems like we're getting ready to head up higher. All right, so it came down even lower, took out this low right here, so even more accumulation of sell stops here. So I want to see price go above the opening of this candle for a change in state delivery. Maybe this fair value gap could be used as inversion. So let's go ahead and see if we do get that. If it starts just dropping lower and lower, I'm not interested in taking shorts, so I'm just going to go ahead and let it go. But it could come down for the sell side below these relative equal lows. All right, perfect. So we're getting a reversal here. It's giving me a change in state of delivery, potentially creating a fair value gap here. And I think with this big move down, sweeping the sell side and the reversal here, I'm definitely ready to get into a trade here. So if this fair value gap remains intact, I'll have my entry here. And then I would have my stop loss, to be conservative, you will have it here at the low of this order block. However, you can see a balanced price range here with its up and down. It's also protected by this SIBI, which could be used as inversion. So I'm just going to have my risk here at this low. just to, reduce the risk a little bit. You can see it only reduced it about like 10 points or so, but still a little bit of reduction can never hurt, right? As long as it still makes sense for the risk to be there. Anyway, so this is going to be about 40 points of risk. So let's go into the spreadsheet, and then we'll see how many contracts I'll take before we start walking forward some more. All right, so looking at the spreadsheet here, I'm only able to take one contract for a 0.6% risk. If I take two, it'll be over the 1%. Sometimes if it's like over by like 0.01, 0.02% or something, I'm okay with that, but I don't want to be like 1.2%. If you're willing to risk that, be my guest, but I'm just going to go ahead and try to stick with the model here, especially with that loss yesterday. I don't really want to go in big right away. All right, so the fair value gap did change. I'll show you in a little bit, but that changed my entry price a little bit. It reduced it. So now I'm only a 0.55% risk. If I do two contracts, it'll still be a 1.1. And that could be okay, but like I said before, I took a loss yesterday, so I don't want to be going in big. So I'm just going to go ahead and just stick with one contract. I may not take the partial off on the first partial and try to run for the second one, basically aggressively moving my stop loss up. But anyways, here we go. You can see the fair value gap closed in a little bit lower. So I had my entry here. It got me in with this next candle. And then I have my stop right here below this low. All right, so it was a little scary here with this drop down. I thought I could be in for another stop loss today. But it looks like we're going to be heading for the buy side target. And I think it's about the right time now to move my stop loss up. So here's my entry. I want to move it to at least break even. The logical place to put it is below this order block. So I'm going to go ahead and do that pretty much near break even. And sorry if it's loud in the background right now. It is raining. Hopefully maybe the rain ambience is actually relaxing for you guys. All right, guys. So we did take out the buy side here. So if you were responsible and conservative, you could have just go ahead and take out the trade off of here. It would have been like 70 points of profit, which was really good. I think with 40 points of risk or so, that would have given you close to 1 to 2, I believe, if my math is correct. But I'm betting that we may go for this secondary target here. If I go back out to the 1 hour, actually may have to go back out to the 4 hour, sorry. I'm looking for price. So we did take out, see the bodies, right? The bodies, and we saw a little bit of a retracement now, but I'm hoping that, price is going to be very bullish. Looking for this right here, going into that weekly fair value gap. And the secondary target here is good, but I'm going to actually try to hold for this last one, but aggressively moving my stop loss up. The worst it can get right now is break even, so I'm perfectly fine with that. We're coming back into this fair value gap, so hopefully we'll get another rally soon. All right, guys, and unfortunately, did not happen. We just pretty much went straight down, got stopped out for break even pretty much. Sometimes I don't mark this in, but whatever. I already have numbers here. I'll go ahead and mark it in. Probably should have just taken off the trade at first partial, but it's what I get for trying to be too greedy. So hopefully you guys can take this as a learning lesson and make sure just take partials, take it off here. You're not going to regret it. Well, anyways, we'll see what the rest of the day looks like, but I got a feeling I'm not really going to have another setup since it's already after 11. So let's just go ahead and take a look at the rest of the day. All right, so here we are, 12:15. So this was the morning action. You can see it very choppy here, but we did take out the buy side. Remember, like I said, those bodies, right? The swing high with the bodies to the candle. I'm not concerned about the higher one right here with the wick. So after it hit that, that was it. That was all I had for the day. We had a displacement lower, used this fair value gap to kind of go lower. And now we may be heading for these relative equal lows in the PM session. So let's quickly take a look at the end of the day, and then we'll move on to, I believe it's Thursday or something. But yeah, as you can see, we did go for those relative equal lows right here. That got taken here on this candle, which was the, I guess a little bit before 1 o'clock, right? So before the PM session happened, we took out these relative equal lows. Actually, triple lows right here. I didn't notice that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And then we consolidated rest of the afternoon. So let's go ahead and move on to September 18th, which will be a Wednesday. All right, so Wednesday morning, I'm looking price. We're kind of in a very tight consolidated range here, kind of prolonged from Sunday all the way to Wednesday. We're in this kind of tight consolidation here. So we did take out the buy side. I'm going to go ahead and take that off. Draw a new line here. The buy side is there. Sell side is down below here. Going down deeper into a 15-minute. You can see that pre-market or this morning action, we took out the buy side here, barely came back down, took out the sell side, came up for the buy side. Now we may be heading for the sell side. So we're kind of in a seek and destroy condition right now. So I'm going to be very cautious going into this, into today. But what I like to see is I like to see a sweep of the sell side, perhaps here. Don't really want to see all of these sell side get taken, although we could. And then I want to start seeing big acceleration to the upside and maybe head for this target here. All right, so just before 9:30, we did rally back up, take the buy side just before the 9:30 open. So I'm expecting 9:30 for a big drop down for the sell side below here. We'll see whether or not we can get down below here or not. But like I said before, I'm not really interested in taking any shorts. Going to be only looking for longs, and we'll see if we get any after the 9:30 open. Here on the 15-minute, you can see if I drop down to a 5-minute for today's action, you can see it's a little hard to see exactly what's going on. It kind of zoomed in too much. So when this kind of happens, I advise you to zoom out. And I mean, here's the 5-minute on like a 1-day time frame, but it's a little hard to see all the price action here. So it's kind of tough because you want to zoom in to see here. But remember, always zoom out to kind of get a picture, like a big picture view of what is going on. Okay, so 10:45. The opening, you can see it's very choppy, but we did come down for this low, right? So I did take out the sell side, and I am zoomed out, so it's a little hard to see, but let's go ahead and get back in so we can see exactly what's going on. You can see the choppiness here. We did take out the sell side, and now finally around 10 o'clock, we are starting to go up. This may be the first significant fair value gap. This is technically the first one, but it's rather small. So this could be our first significant BISI. What candle? This was at 9:30. So 9:30, we did open here. If we traded above this fair value gap, like if we close above here, I'll be looking for bullishness. If the risk is good enough, like let's say I enter here, stop loss, let's say it's down here. That is going to be 33 points of risk, which is perfectly fine. So let's go ahead and try to take this one. And it's a little choppy. I'm a little wary. So also I took a couple of losses previous day. You can see I had a loss and pretty much stopped a break even. So gonna just take one contract on this one just to kind of get a feeler. And then if we start moving in the right direction, I may add another one. All right, so I'm in it for one contract. The stop is down here and the entry was back up here. So only one contract, a little bit less than 0.5% risk. Now, the one thing I'm not really liking is that we took out the buy side above this swing high. And then remember, this was a fair value gap here. And we didn't really start accelerating up. We're kind of creating a fair value gap to the downside. So this is quite concerning. So I'm glad I went with just one contract. I think the risk is kind of minimal, but hopefully we'll start moving in the right direction and we have a potential to add once again. All right, so we did come down and did take us out with this stop here. And perhaps the stop was a little too tight. You know, maybe I should have just had it down here at this low. That would have been 37 points of risk, so it would have still been okay. Maybe I was just a little sloppy here with my stop loss, but nonetheless, I got stopped out. So let's go ahead and record this, and then we'll see if we have another opportunity to get in. We do have another fair value gap potentially if we start going above this candle here, but right now we're still in the SIBI. There could be potential for a further downward movement, so just gonna wait a little bit longer. If we can get above this high with fair value gap, I'll go ahead and try again on the next one. Again, trade number 2, still just gonna stick with 0.5% risk, especially when you're on a losing streak. But yeah, like I said, you know, it was concerning of this fair fair value gap after we took out this buy side. So we did go into the SIBI, but it looks like we are heading lower. And even though I did get stopped out right here, you know, if I had my risk down lower, I would be taking more risk on, and I would have had to take a bigger loss actually, because it never really gave me that shift to the upside. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm glad I didn't lose as much. But zooming out again, you want to zoom out to the big picture so you can see what's going on. Looks like we may be heading for this low because we do have this 1 hour fair value gap. I should have added this in during my analysis. I don't know why I didn't do this, but yeah, we do have a fair value gap here. So I was working in this 1 hour SIBI, and it's looking like it's holding up as resistance. So yeah, it looks like we are heading to the downside for this low, and then we are going back into this previous inefficiency here. All right, so 12:15, I'm done trading for today. Took a small loss. Let's see. We are heading for this low down here, but as you can see with the action, we didn't really get much of an opportunity. If I would have noticed this 1 hour fair value gap and thought maybe we could be heading lower, maybe I would have, you know, given a chance when we went back into this fair value gap. Or if we saw a confirmation fair value gap like this one right here, and we had a confirmation fair value gap, if I was thinking lower prices, maybe I would have tried getting in here. This would have been a really great trade if you were able to take a short here. But alas, I was looking at the higher time frame thinking we are going to be bullish, going for the upside targets. So kind of looked like we're in consolidation area here. So maybe I should shift my bias to more of a neutral stance. But let's go ahead and take a look at the end day, and we'll hop into the next day on Thursday. And just looking at the end day, let me get off the 1 hour so I can see exactly what happened. Wow, something happened at 2 o'clock. But anyways, yeah, we went down low, didn't take out the sell side, went back up, took out the buy side here, not that level, and then we start going back down. So kind of like what I said, a seek and destroy kind of a day. So not a great day to trade. I'm glad I only went with a small risk. And let's go ahead and hop into Thursday. All right, so looking at Thursday morning, we are starting to rally up. We took out this buy side, and it looks like we're going for this buy side, going for the weekly fair value gap. So a little unfortunate, you know, I missed the move completely. Right here overnight, you can see we did create a fair value gap here, and ever since then we've been rallying up. So I think we're going to go ahead and take out the buy side there. Now let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit more on the 4 hour. Going into this weekly fair value gap, can we start going up higher? I guess if we start trading and closing above this weekly fair value gap, but kind of like done with the upside target. This was my target for the week. If we do have relative equal lows down here, so we could be coming back into this 4 hour SIBI using it as inversion. We'll have to take out this, and then we have to head for these relative equal lows. So I think that's the only reasonable chance we have if we're wanting to trade this week, but I really need to see signs of bearishness. Otherwise, you know, the higher time frame is technically bullish. I don't want to be fighting against the higher time frame. All right, so just before 9:30, buy side has been taken. We could go up more into this weekly SIBI. I'm kind of expecting 9:30 to get a swipe up, and then if we can start getting a reversal to the downside, I guess I could try to enter into short, looking for the sell side down here. Just jumping back once more to the 1 hour, kind of looking at Monday. We opened here and we created these lows on Tuesday, or on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So we do have weekly lows down here, and we're rallying up. So this could be like a manipulation move, and I'm looking for like perhaps a Thursday reversal to come down here. But definitely going to wait to give me the signals. I'm not just going to jump into like the very next fair value gap. So I want to see price go into here, displace lower, and then perhaps a confirmation fair value gap to the downside. Then I'll be willing to enter. All right, so 12:15, my time window is done here. And zooming in a little bit, this is what happened. We did take a sweep on the sell side down here, and we started rallying up. We do have some fair value gaps, but not going to enter those because we're so close. Buy side was already taken. We went up into that weekly SIBI, started coming back down, and then we're just consolidating here at the low of the weekly SIBI. So perhaps there was a move in the afternoon. I'm not trading the afternoon, but let's take a look. And we dig a little bit deeper into the weekly SIBI, about halfway, and then we started coming back, and then we closed just below this weekly SIBI. So let's go ahead and jump into Friday, and we'll see what makes sense. All right, so a lot of consolidation here early in the week. Rallied up for the weekly target, the weekly fair value gap, took out the buy side, and now more consolidation after hitting the target. So not too much is happening, but we do have buy side above these highs. Sell side kind of down here, but kind of you can see we already moved here around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. So after London close, is it London close or London lunch? After the London session, right? We swept these lows, and now looks like we could be sweeping the buy side. So if we take out the buy side and we start displacing lower, I'll be looking to take shorts actually, because I don't want this to get taken. If it does, well then short ideas may be over. So I'm looking for drops down maybe to, you know, this low right here. We do kind of have relative equal lows, but really where my eyes are drawn on to is these relative equals low here early in the week. We may not get down there, but we also have this fair value gap that could be used as a potential target as well. All right, so just a little bit after 9 o'clock, we took out the buy side target, and now starting to see a little bit of displacement. I'm not going to trust this one right away. If you look at the 15-minute, you can see it kind of looks big on the 5-minute, but we're coming back down into this 15-minute BISI. So I'm not going to trust the very first one. If we get confirmation, then yeah, perhaps that is good enough. But we could make another run above this high, go back into this weekly SIBI. There's no inefficiencies to speak of, so maybe just want to hit the low of it, and then we start going down lower. Either way, I'm going to give this a little bit more time, wait for 9:30, see exactly what happens. And just looking here right before 9:30, you can see pretty big displacement, but again, jumping back to the 15-minute, you can see we are coming back into the 15-minute inefficiencies. So it may not be done running up. Just going to give this a little bit more time. Now, if we go into this fair value gap and we start going lower, creating another one, that gives me confirmation and more confidence to go short, aiming for the first partial down here below this low. All right, so a little bit after 10 o'clock, you can see that opening 9:30, we did rally up above this high. Didn't quite get into the weekly SIBI. That was a little disappointing, but you can see very, very choppy action here. Long wicks, small bodies, very undesirable condition. Now, we do have a small 5-minute fair value gap. This is a SIBI, so it does look like we're all going to be going for the lows for these relative equal lows now. It put in relative equal lows just before. So this could be a sell side target we're looking for. Going down to the 15-minute, we do have another lower target down here. And if we get big displacement, we can go back into this 1-hour BISI here. So what do I make of this? Well, you could take a trade here, but where would you put your stop? See, I'm a little confused on where the stop would be. So I'm just going to give this a little bit more time. I think we could run up above these highs one more time and go into the weekly SIBI. You know, that would be a little bit more desirable. We'll see what happens. If we do create a very small fair value gap with low risk, I'll go ahead and try to take that. But we may just run for the sell side, and I'm just may not do anything today. All right, so we do run down for the sell side. This one has been taken. So if you did enter, like let's say here, I guess a reasonable target would be perhaps this high here. This would only have been like 20 points of risk. What you could also do is take this wick here and divide it by half, so 50%, and then put your stop somewhere above here. So maybe you'll have a stop, let's say here around 70%, right? This would give you, if you enter down here at 23.66, so 46 points of risk. That may have been okay. That's something you could have tried to do, but I didn't. And we're just going to go ahead and just let this go without me. There is a small fair value gap here and more sell side targets. So if this creates a fair value gap, I could take a chance, enter here with my stop loss up here. Oh, sorry guys, that's my timer. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Sorry if that alarm right there, if my timer hurt your guys' ears. I totally forgot I had a timer there. But anyways, looking at a short entry here, if I go ahead and take it, I could take 2 contracts and have a 0.8% risk. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and give it. I'm going to take a chance here. If this fair value gap remains intact, if we completely cover it up, then I'm going to go ahead and just cancel the trade. Looking to take first partial down here. It's going to give me about a little bit better than 101. And the second contract, I'm going to see if I can try and hold all the way down to this 1 hour fair value gap. Well, let's go ahead, see if I get in. If we take the sell side before I get into the trade, again, I will cancel the trade as well. All right, so as you can see, we did fill in the fair value gap, no fair value gaps, so no trade. I'm just going to give this a little bit more time. It's 10:30, still got about 2 hours, so let's just go ahead and keep walking through. And here, once again, there is a potential for a fair value gap, so I will have my stop up here. Entry down here again, close to 101. Let's see, with this is going to be what, like almost a 30-point risk. With a 30-point risk, could I take 2 contracts? Let me refer to the spreadsheet. All right, so I did my math a little bit wrong. Looks like it is a 27-point risk, which will give me a 0.83% on the balance. So about the same as before. I'm going to go ahead and try to take another shot here. If, like I said, same conditions. If we take out the sell side, no trade. If there's no fair value gap, no trade. So hopefully we can close somewhere here, wick us in, and then we get a immediate profit. That'll be the best case scenario. And I'm going to see if I hold a second contract down there. There's a good chance we may just come back and consolidate or come back into equilibrium, but let's go. I can always hope. Let's go ahead and take a shot. Okay, so once again, no fair value gap, no trade. Taking it off, and we'll just keep on waiting, I guess. All right, so finally we went down, we created fair value gap, we took out the sell side here. So yeah, not sure what's going on now. I mean, we did potentially creating another fair value gap here that I can try enter on. I can have my stop up here, entry down here. That's going to be about 50-point risk, right? So it's pretty wide. We've already taken the sell side down below this low. So the next stop will be down here. Could it get down there? I guess it could. Is it likely? Not so sure. It's Friday after all. So going to be a little bit cautious here, but I may try and take a shot. So we'll see if this fair value gap fills in or not fill in. We'll see if this fair value gap remains intact. We'll have my risk up here. And this time, since sell side's already been taken, I want to take a shot, but I'm just going to go with 1 contract. All right, so 11.15 never really got me in and starting to move lower. We've already taken out sell side. I'm going to go ahead and just cancel this trade. If we, retrace all the way back up here, that's probably not good news. I think just going to have to miss the opportunity today. Going back out to the 1 hour, it could come down all the way here. I feel like I just kind of, I feel like I missed an opportunity or there's no opportunity. What could have happened? I guess there's a small fair value gap here earlier that, I could have tried to take. Price action is not that great. I mean, it could retrace back into this fair value gap and go lower, but I'm not willing to take a chance on it since we've already taken the sell side and gone that so much lower. I think we'll just call it a day, call it a week. Unfortunately, did not have a profitable week. We did come back and retrace back to equilibrium. So typical for Friday. Pretty much just going to end it here on a red week. We'll see how much we did lose, and then we'll close the video out. End of the day action, you can see that we did pretty much just chop up and down. Went up above the buy side just a little bit in the afternoon. Again, barely missing the weekly fair value gap, and now once again at equilibrium. So really like not much to do. Here's the spreadsheet for the week. You can see that I did try multiple trades this week. Maybe I was a little bit ambitious because it's been a while since we tried taking trade, but as you can see, a lot of losses. Actually, this last one, it never happened. So let me just take this off. So yeah, 3 trades this week, 1 break even, 2 losses. That's gonna be $200 in the red this week, unfortunately. And if we add out the risk here, a minus 1.4% on the balance, but that's okay. We're still here with a 30%. What is this? Oh, this is August. Maybe I did it on the wrong tab, guys. Let me go ahead and adjust my data. Anyways, I'll do that next time. Thank you guys for joining me for another backtesting session. I'll fix up the data for next time, but until you come back again, safe trading.